And welcome everybody once again to round 18 Mexico for what was a completely undramatic and not very tired race. Yes, Lewis Hamilton won the race, of course. He actually managed to come from third place on the grid after a Verstappen penalty, and managed to win the race. Now, going down the first straight, there was a couple of incidents, one of which was with a red car. I believe Sebastian Vettel just kind of drove him off the road slightly. And then after he dropped him behind Vettel, he then had a little altercation with Verstappen, who accidentally, Lewis's fault, but Verstappen drove into Lewis, completely Lewis's fault, of course, and managed to damage his car a bit more. Unfortunately, this pushed Verstappen back and into the waiting arms of a Carlos Sainz, who he then had a little crash with. And upon getting back through the field, Verstappen then also managed to get a puncture while overtaking Valtteri Bottas, who I have to say turned in on Verstappen rather hard and managed to puncture his tyre. Very unfortunate day all round, but he still came back to get a fifth place. Very creditable for the young man, considering Albon in fourth place, I believe, fifth place it was, sorry. Albon in fifth place, so Verstappen sixth. Albon in fifth place, which was a great race, considering. Then Valtteri. Was it Valtteri Bottas? Oh no, maybe Sebastian Vettel then, and then Valtteri Bottas, then Leclerc, and then I don't know now. What was the order they finished in? Lewis Hamilton won. I know that much because he rose up on his car like a god amongst the car gods.
Holy shit! That was bloody hell.
Yeah, it's all showbiz now. It's all showbiz fair. Get used to it. It's the new way.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
what were the results there? Can you remember?
Yeah, Hamilton, Vettel, Bottas, Leclerc.
Bottas, Leclerc. Yeah. It was the other way. Then Albon. Yeah. Okay, I was close. I thought the other way around. Fantastic recovery drive from Vettel there as well. Did a one stop. Obviously, that was the strategy to be on. Lewis planned it extremely well. I've got to say, he drove his little socks off to keep his tyres in. There was never a shadow in his mind that he couldn't do it, though. And he chose that strategy very, very well. What do you think of that, Fabio?
Yeah, but I think that if it was up to Lewis, he would have never won the race. He started complaining, whining, then whinging, 3 laps into the new tires. It was Jesus. I mean, but they should give him points for that, for drama. I mean, give him points. Fuck it, No, it was really funny, and I mean, there are a couple of things. The first one is. I think that the reason why Mercedes won the race is to be you got to look at what happened on Friday when Mercedes was the only car which actually tested the white tires. So they had data, even if I read that Toto Wolff said something on the line that they made up his mind after seeing Ricciardo's performance. Apparently he put something like 54 laps on the white tires, but I mean, you can get an idea from what the other drivers do, but you don't make your strategy based on what Ricciardo makes on the Renault if you're Mercedes. So
I agree.
They had the proper data, and that's it. There is an interesting thing. I don't want to detract from Lewis' victory, but you said something, and I know you said something jokingly, when you said that Lewis chose the strategy. There was actually a very interesting difference because there was one driver which was actually calling the strategy, and it was Sebastian. Sebastian denied, going into the pit. When they called him, he wanted to go a little bit farther. They made a mistake in not calling him 1 lap earlier. They should have seen that it was a pack of cars when he got back. I think there was Bottas, Sainz, and somebody, Gasly probably. I can't remember. And by my calculation, I think he lost something like 6 seconds in that lap. So if we want to talk about conspiracy, and shit like that, he might have won the race, but regardless, he didn't. So that was the result. The other big problem, and again, it's I think it's flabbergasting. We said it at some races ago. If you want to win against Mercedes, you got to be perfect, and Ferrari wasn't. And the thing which really puzzled me was when Leclerc stopped and they put him yellow tires. That to me was, but I couldn't believe what the fuck I was seeing, because he started with yellow tires, so he had to stop another time, and I could not understand why they put yellow tires. I think that the right choice would have been the white tires, even if they didn't have enough data, because at least you got options, right? So you can have the final stint with the red tires if they're not performing well, or you can try to go the long distance with the white tires. But they made that kind of decision, and I have no fucking idea why they did that. That was really puzzling to me.
No, I completely agree with you there. I mean, from two aspects for me. One, trying to force Mercedes into a mistake, maybe to pit early for the one stop, right? If they got Leclerc onto the white tire, thinking, well, we're still going to do 2 stops,
right?
But he can push his white tire much harder, right? And therefore, and still do another stop. Well, that would have got Mercedes to do a 2 stop then, because they would have had to push their white tire much harder.
Yeah.
And I think that was a huge mistake right there.
Yeah,
and if he'd gone to white, perhaps they could have bluffed at least one of the Mercedes into doing a 2-stop strategy.
Yeah, and they also had the option. They might have gone for the long distance, and even if the tire didn't allow them to do that, they could have used red tires at the end. And actually, Ferrari had a new set of red tires. They had a new set of yellow tires and a new set of red tires. So all the options were there, and they just decided to put themselves in a position where they were, it was pretty basic, knowledge what they were going to do, So
yeah, I mean, I don't think it was a huge mistake in the respect of, by declaring their hand as a 2-stop, they've then got to make Mercedes think, well, should we cover one of them with a 2? Should we cover Bottas with a 2-stop? And that would have given Vettel a better chance to win potentially. But I think that was a bit of a mediocre strategy at best. What did they say in the race? One of the commentators said something like, the problem with splitting your strategy is one of the cars is wrong.
I agree. It would have been a good strategy if they tested the white tires on Friday, as Mercedes did. So they might have seen that, the white tire was not working at all. So they could have said, listen, that was our only option. We had to go with that. Okay. Fair enough, the car doesn't allow you to run, the tires that you want to. You got to deal with what you get. Okay, but they didn't. So that was really, I don't know. I was blown away. I got to tell you, I almost stopped watching the race after that, and I most definitely stopped watching the race after the mistake they did with Vettel. They had to call him one lap before, and he would have won the race.
Well, again, I'm not sure he would have won per se, and potentially Lewis had some speed in his tyres there, and he could have gone faster had he realised Vettel was coming in that lap. But I do think they missed a trick in not getting him ahead of Sainz. And again, the reason for this, I'm not 100% sure. Perhaps because they lacked pace on the yellow tyre at the end of the stint, and they pushed it far too long. And so maybe they should have lapped him a lot earlier, in which case potentially that he could have had an easier job getting past those back markers than he did. But
they have the data, they have the GPS.
Yeah, exactly.
They know what is going to happen if you pit this lap or the other lap. So that was hardly something that you can justify, and still have no idea what did that. So I don't know. It was really tough. It seems to be that some of the problems that they had last year and this year, which is I don't know. It's funny to say that about Ferrari, but they have a very young pit wall.
Yeah,
and at least compared, to Mercedes, it seems to be I mean, the fact that they cannot make it seems to be that they are unable to make a mistake is not by chance, because I mean, sometimes luck plays a good role in those kind of things. But after a whole season, we saw a trend, and the trend is there. It's
Well, didn't they get a new strategist this year? Maybe Red Bull's strategist. I thought he was quite a good one. I thought.
Oh yeah, yeah. They got a guy, but I don't know. I really don't know. There is still something wrong, which is not working properly the way it's supposed to be working. Because I mean, if you make the sort of mistakes that you can look at them and say that's fishy, from your seat at home watching the race, there is something really, really, really wrong going on there. And I know that it's, when you're there, it is different. I mean, I know that firsthand. It is different, but if you get to that level, you have no justification. You gotta go. You gotta have the killer instinct and the skills, to develop the race that you want to develop. It was brutal to watch. So have you the other thing it seems to be that people is talking a lot about is the I don't know if you want to talk about it now or later on, the Ferrari engine, which I find the whole thing super hilarious. I don't know if you want to talk about it right now. And for some reasons, I can't hear you anymore. So this is weird.
1, 2. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Now I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, it's dodgy headset or something. I think we would just finish off on the race quickly, which is just to say, one stop clearly was the way to go, and I think Ferrari should have seen that. They gambled, I think, trying to, with Leclerc, which is fair enough. I mean, they've got little to lose at this point in the year if they're just trying to get wins. It kind of showed that the number 1, number 2 driver is back in operation. That the fact they sacrificed Leclerc for this 2-stop strategy, which clearly was slower. So I'm not sure again that that Ferrari have really got things screwed on here. I think they're kind of halfway house, and that's maybe why they're running into problems. Go ahead.
I actually don't agree with that. I mean, I think that in the race, Leclerc was the number 1. They stopped him first. He was ahead. That's common. That's something you do usually. You stop the first guy ahead. And the only reason that Vettel was able to get second was that because he was the number 2 driver and was stopped after. He realized that the tires were not performing as good as they were on paper. And he asked them, to keep going on, to just to stretch the stint a little bit more. So I think that there are 2 things. The first one is that we saw a driver with a lot of experience, which could rely tactics on the pit wall, while Leclerc, and this I can only blame that to him being young. He didn't have the, I would say, the strength or the will to actually make them change their mind or to question the tactic. So from that aspect, it was interesting. But I disagree. I mean, I agree with you. There was number 1, number 2, but I see the roles to be exactly the switch. So
right. Okay. Well, fair enough. I mean, we're here to disagree with each other, otherwise it wouldn't be entertaining. Right. Not that it's entertaining at all. I'm not judging that.
Oh
This
no,
is this is Formula One after all, and
yes.
everybody gets tired because
Yeah.
tires are what it's all about this year. Anyway, anyway, moving on slightly. Norris was extremely unlucky again.
Holy shit!
I'm just so disappointed because he was having a cracking season, and he seems to have stalled in the last couple or so races.
Yeah.
I hope he can get back on it at America. That's all I'm hoping. Albon again is come up to scratch again. I think he drove a fantastic race. He would have been right on Verstappen's tail if Verstappen hadn't have crashed. So to finish ahead of him still is still a good result. Although some 20 odd seconds off fourth place, so that's a bit disappointing as well, considering how fast the Red Bull seemed over one lap. But again, the difference between or one lap pace with these engines and race pace is a totally different thing. Which brings us nicely onto the Ferrari engine.
A bit before going there, hold on a second. Just because you mentioned Red Bull, and I honestly think that if there is a car which lost the race, is Red Bull, and they lost it on Saturday. When Verstappen did what Verstappen do, because I think that the kind of car and the driver that Verstappen is, if he started on pole, I think he would have. Well, I would say easily, but he would have won the race. That's my.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would have been a completely different race. That's for sure. I'm not sure the Red Bull had the pace though, and I think the Ferraris would have got past. If Verstappen hadn't have had that little tango with Lewis, I would have said the Ferraris probably would have won.
Well, I don't know. I mean, on paper, Red Bull was the car to beat.
Only on one lap pace. That's the thing.
I'm not sure
showed
about
us.
that.
Well, Albon showed us that the lap speed or the race pace wasn't really there.
Albon showed that. That's why I said that probably Verstappen would have won the race, not Red Bull. But I don't know. I think that was the track for Red Bull. High altitude it generally favors high downforce car. So anyway, we never know because the guy is a fucking moron.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
You were saying something about the engines.
Yes, no, I was coming to the engines because this is, of course, Ferrari having been caught out here completely with potentially feeding oil through the intercooler into the engine and gaining some one lap pace.
Which proved not to be the case. You know that, right?
Well, it hasn't been proved not to be the case.
No. It hasn't been.
Proved to be the case.
No. It has proven not to be the case. They put sensors. The FIA put sensors on the intercooler before and after the intercooler, and so there is no reduction in pressure. So and there is no loss of things. So that's not the thing that people should be looking at. But I personally find the whole thing super hilarious for two reasons. Actually, three reasons. The first reason is that it is, to me, is astonishing. It's been 6 years that the Mercedes has been winning front, life, right, and center with the best engine, and now that there is a car with a better engine, they're crying foul. That, I think, is fucking hilarious. The second reason is the reaction that Ferrari had. Binotto said, "You know what? Yeah, I want them," because what happens is that all the teams, some teams have been, asked the FIA, I mean, you should look into that. You should look into that. But no official protest has been made.
Yeah.
And the protest has to be made during a race weekend and blah, 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 blah. And Binotto said, you know what? Yeah, I would love them to make an official protest because I think his quote was so that we might show everybody how stupid they are in thinking that we're doing something illegal and how things should be done. So that I think is a very good reaction and attitude from Ferrari. And the third one is actually personal. When I was in Ducati, we had the most powerful engine of the whole field, right? And there was no doubts about it. I think we were probably running something about maybe at least 10 to 15 horsepower more than the other one. And we're talking about 260 horsepower. So the difference was massive. And we were in the same fucking situation. Everybody was calling us, oh, yeah, you're cheating. I said, well, listen, man, it's very easy. Here's the engine. If you want to open it, this is how much it's going to cost you. Go ahead, do that. There is Dorna, which is the same thing as FIA. But I know how those things work, and it's really, really, really funny to be in that situation. So
yeah. I mean, again, it's politics. Formula One is a big politics game, so I really don't. Of course, if anybody's winning, they're going to get called cheating somehow. I mean, and they will deny it. There's no doubt about it. Ferrari denied it with the wheels, the front wheel pods that they said gave them no aerodynamic benefit until the rest of the field got them, and then they said, well, of course they give aerodynamic benefits, so they ought to be banned. And this is politics. Of course. And we expect it in Formula One. So I don't have a problem with people disputing this stuff. And quite often there's something behind it. Quite often there is something behind it. Red Bull's flexible wings, for instance.
Right. But I think there is a huge difference, and this is where I find the whole thing hilarious. There is a huge difference, like with the pods or the wings, or the last case of the Renault with the automatic brake balance thing. So and the difference is this: if you put pods on the tires, okay, and you can say whatever the fuck you want. So if the other team put the pods on the tires, that means that solution was not illegal. You know what I'm saying?
Not really. No, it doesn't say that. I mean, not in that case. Not in that case, because they were illegal. But they were just disputed long enough for Ferrari to get a decent advantage out of it.
Well, which means that we're not illegal. I mean, if something is illegal, they act the way that they did with Renault. They say, okay, this is a device which is not conform to rules. You got to take it out. There is no question about it, and they do that, right? But it's I don't see that as being called a cheat. A cheat is someone which does something which is blatantly illegal, and to do that, interpretation of the rules is something different. Now,
I agree with that.
I agree with you on when you say that they're politics. I totally agree with you, and I think that the last example in F1 history was the Braun GP. The double diffuser was an illegal thing. There was no reason, no way around it. Everybody knew that. The thing is that they decided to let Braun run with it because it wasn't bothering the FIA at the time, like Ferrari and McLaren did, and Red Bull did. So that was something which had to do with politics. I get it. But this other thing, you can cry foul anytime you want. You have the tools that you have to do that is you make you protest the thing. There is an inquiry, and the FIA, fulfills the inquiry. That's it. And And I don't think that you agree with me. We are not in the times where. Because that has happened. It has happened with McLaren. It happened with Williams. It has happened with Ferrari. This is not the kind of period where Ferrari does something and the FIA says, "Okay, yeah, you're right." We are not into this time frame right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, generally, you're right. I think I disagree that the front wheel covers weren't illegal. I mean, I think they were illegal from the very beginning because in the rules it said you weren't allowed aerodynamic devices on the wheels.
Right.
And they were aerodynamic. The reason why they were allowed to run with them is because they claimed that they were not aerodynamic devices. They were giving no increase to the aerodynamics. That turned out to be wrong. All right. But it wasn't proved for halfway through the season.
Right.
And the only reason they banned them and said, "Oh, okay, well, look, whether they didn't ban them because they were found to be aerodynamic devices. They banned them because everybody else was just going to develop them anyway, and it's clear that they were aerodynamic devices, as was stated way back at the beginning of the season when they first got introduced. So, I think that is just a politics thing. That was brinkmanship, and well done for a Ferrari. It wasn't the first time they've done something like that. And as you say, many other teams before that, Williams and Red Bull have done it, and Bernie Ecclestone's team, right, with their vacuum car.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just, and Braun with the double diffuser.
Yeah.
This has all been done before, and it's the Braun was an interpretation of the rules. All right. Now, it was tacitly said by the FAA before that season that a diffuser wouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
All right. But that's Braun just then played politics and went, well, diffuser, technically it's allowed under the rules, though. So although you say we would like you not to run a diffuser,
right,
we're going to do it anyway. And you'll have to take it through the courts because we think it's in the rules.
There is a very interesting interview with Christian Horner. There is a podcast, I think it's called the F1 podcast, and there is a very interesting interview with Christian Horner where he is touching that specific problem. And the way that he paints that thing, he has no doubt about it. He said, Braun came in, we looked at the car, and we said, how the fuck is supposed to run with that? And they kept doing that. They said, okay, what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really weird. It's really weird, but the engine situation is really funny because it's also. I mean, I can understand if Red Bull complains. I can understand, but really Mercedes, come on, really.
Yeah, well, again, that's the nature of Formula One. So I have no doubt that any team, Ferrari or otherwise, would do exactly the same thing in the same situation.
But they paint the picture, and I don't know. It's probably just me. Okay, I'm biased. You can say whatever you want, but it seems to me, and it probably has to do with the fact that that Lewis is complaining every fucking time. But it gives the picture of a team which is really whinging every fucking time. Grow the fuck up, grow some balls, and do what you have to do. It's really bizarre. It's.
Well, I know. We kind of touched this last week, and this is Lewis's mindset. Since Rosberg, really, he's been like this, right? In which case, he's not going to do anything other than be the consummate professional and take every advantage he possibly can until it's mathematically not possible to win, for him not to lose the championship. And as soon as he gets to that point, then he'll be back to magnanimous. Hamilton. Oh well, I don't mind. I love the racing. I want it to be close. I want it. I want to race Sebastian. I want to. You know what I mean? It'll be back to that kind of talk again, and then until the beginning of next season, in which case it'll be, no, I want to be. Oh, everything's wrong. My car's painted the wrong color. I can't believe it.
No, but you're right. I wasn't saying, you explained to me last time very well, and I agree with you. But I'm not pointing the finger. I'm just saying that, if you take all the things and you sum it up, the general impression is that they really can't shut the fuck up, right?
Yeah, he may as well be driving a Williams. Is that what you're saying? It sounds like he's driving a Williams.
Yeah, gee, come on, really? And Toto Wolff seems to be is the team owner of Alfa Romeo. Come on, I mean, if you listen to Gunther Steiner, the guy with us, that guy seems to be that he's running fucking Mercedes, because it's fuck this and fuck that. Yeah, we work like shit. Yeah, but we do that. I mean, he's running a shitstorm, but he's riding the shitstorm.
I mean, I feel so sorry for him as well. Having those two drivers that keep crashing. It's just like, oh my God. And he has to play politics between them all the time. You hear him on the radio and he goes, oh, it's Gunther. Yeah, well done, Roman. Yeah, you weren't at fault there when Roman's just clearly run into somebody. It's like, what the fuck? Why don't you just tell the guy off for running into fucking Magnussen for the third time in the same race at the same corner? You know.
No, I mean, I just hope that I'm neutral about it, but I just hope that the new rules for F1, that seems to be that they want to introduce some standard parts, things like that. They will help, the middle field in reducing their costs of development. Because the thing that we saw this year, and we are how many races? The left 3 races, right?
Yeah.
United States, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi, and Alfa Romeo and us, and I would say Force India probably too, but a little bit less.
Racing Point, you mean?
Yeah, Racing. Yeah, sorry, Racing Point. Racing Point. They have just finished the budget for development like 2 races ago.
Yeah,
it's really it's not fair. It's fair. It's a strong word in F1, but it's depressing for the show. When you say that,
sure.
when you get out of the season and you already know that, half the car are not even going to be close to the other guys.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the year now, I mean, Formula One has become such a development race through the year that that what happens is the fields extend. That they start at the beginning, and they're as close as they're going to be at the first race.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's only going to get worse from there on out. Teams don't catch up. So the field kind of extends with the amount of money that's being used. And I don't think that's going to change. With new rules or no new rules, that is not going to change. They can put as many standard parts on there as they want, but those engine manufacturers are not in it to come like 3rd, 4th, 8th, 9th. That's not where they want to be. Ferrari or Mercedes. And those two teams are going to work together to block anything which stops them having an engine advantage. So, and if the FIA try and make it so they can't have a chassis and an aero advantage, right, then they're going to push everything onto the engine and say, right, well, we're not going to give the best engines to the B teams, right? And there's no way around that. There's just no way around it. So I don't see anything changing in the near future. That's for sure.
I'm not expecting a drastic change. I would be happy to see something, change. Not too much. I understand that that the name of the game is that one. So yeah, but just a little bit. I would love to see something moving. Not changing but moving. At least to have a championship which is a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, I think just being able to get the cars closer to each other will do. I mean, I'm not expecting the top 3 teams to close up dramatically with the rest of the field. I don't think the midfield are going to catch up to those top 3 teams, but I would think that the top teams are going to allow a bit more racing more closely between them, and that's what I'm hoping the rules will do. So although you're still going to see this extension over the year through the field with the top teams pulling away, that doesn't mean that you're not going to get closer racing. And they've done it before. I mean, we had it in Bernie's last years, right? When they made a skinny high wing, skinny rear high wing, and the racing was really close again. And it was great for a little while, even with the gimmicks, the DRS and whatever else, then the ERS and all this kind of stuff. So they've managed to do it before by forcing, aero changes. It's a shame that when Bernie sold the company over to media, whoever they are,
Liberty Media.
It's a shame they didn't have the balls to grab the teams by the tail and say, well, if you want to fucking leave, that's fine. This is the Formula One show, and we're going to keep it on point, right? We're not going to allow you to have all of these aero upgrades, which you want to make the cars go this much faster per lap, because we know what happens. But of course, they didn't, and so now we're back to where we were in the late 80s, where in the 90s rather, where the cars were getting so sophisticated in aero, And look what happened in the early 2000s, right? The cars couldn't follow each other at all.
Yeah.
So even though that was a very exciting time because the cars were very quick, the Grand V10s and what have you.
I mean, we've been saying that for what, 2 or 3 years, that they should, reduce the. When I say reduce, I would want to say get rid of wings and all that shit, and have a proper a mechanical grip, because we don't. So and that's a big issue. It is a big problem.
Yeah, again, I mean, yes, I know what you're saying, but if we go back in time to the early beginning of wings, there was a huge problem, wasn't there? Then because the cars were very dangerous.
Yeah, no, I agree.
At the very end of that, before wings came in fact, I mean, was it Ronnie Peterson? I think it must have been that died at Monza, was it?
There were a lot of
there were a
lot of incidents. Even the Cesaris died with the Brabham testing at Paul Ricard, I think, or Le Castellet.
Yeah, no, this one was specific because in order to chase, the Lotus was underpowered at Monza, and in order to chase time, they took the wings off the Lotus.
Oh yeah.
Right, and the Lotus then took off basically because it didn't have enough grip in the corner anyway. So the thing was too fast and just trying to keep up with the other cars, which had enough power to give their wings, not to be too much of a drawback. And I think that's the danger we're getting. If we're going to go back to no wings, then we're going to have to limit horsepower. And if we limit horsepower, then the engine manufacturers aren't going to be.
Yeah, but something has to be done in that matter, because if you have to the strange thing is that if you have really efficient aero package, you basically destroy the race, because it happens what we see now. If there is a car following another car, they immediately destroy tires, brakes, and all that shit. So
yeah. I mean, I don't see why we can't actually go to a double diffuser and no front, a very maybe 10% or 15% of the downforce generated by wings. And I mean, again, going back in time, cars like I can't even remember the name of it now. Some of them didn't even have front wings at all because they generated so much downforce through skirts.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the Brabham was one.
The Brabham. That was the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. So again, we've been down this road, and it seemed to work. The cars really did get very close to each other back then. So I can't see why it couldn't work in the future. But again, we're hamstrung by the aero designers and the teams that spend so much money on their wind tunnels, etc., etc. What are they going to do? Right? Or do we think they're just going to get rid of their wind tunnels?
Well, I think the problem with the skirts is that if the aero package fails with the car with the with the skirts, is going to be disastrous, because you have total loss of whatever grip you have.
Good point.
With the wings, even if they're efficient or not, you can at least ride through the problem, at least when you get to the pit. It's way less dramatic. I mean, thank God I'm not the one having to decide, because if it was with me, there would be having F1 races with fucking Range Rovers.
Well, I doubt it would be Range Rovers. I mean, surely it'd be Alfa Romeos or something.
Oh yeah, of course.
Or Fiat 500s. What am I talking about?
Right. Yeah.
Which would be quite fun. If you've seen Fiat 500 racing, it is a bit of a laugh.
It's I have an Abarth. I have
you really?
Yeah, a yellow one.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, classic yellow as well.
Of course it is classic yellow. Yeah,
it's a racing color for Ferrari, isn't it?
Yeah, it's yellow fly, the racing color for Ferrari. And it's funny because the real amateurs, they want that yellow, because yellow was the color that they paint the prototypes.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing I think it must mean a 250 GT in yellow.
Yeah,
go by once, and Boy, oh boy, that's when I first fell in love with Ferrari and went, I want one of those.
Right, and I want that fucking color. I agree.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. Okay, so just to finish up on Mexico, it was a grand spectacle, a better race than I thought it was going to be. I have to say, I did enjoy it. Boy, did it rain after. Now, if that had come half an hour earlier, boy, we would have had a race. But nonetheless, well, it would have been. They wouldn't have even run it in that kind of weather. But there you go. Still a good race and a classic win by Lewis to keep his tyres in. So I'm well chuffed for the boy. He done well. Sebastian did incredibly well and drove a great race as well. So I'm quite happy, basically. Looking forward to the next race more than anything. Circuit of America, which is a brilliant circuit. It should be a downforce circuit, and therefore...
And it's going to be cold.
Oh, okay, that I didn't know.
It's going to be. It seems to me that it's going to be really cold, which brings me to my prediction. I'm predicting. Okay, I wouldn't say a victory, but I think that Red Bull is going to make a very nice race.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. It's Honda's backyard almost, isn't it? Because they've been dominating the IndyCar Championship for so long that they kind of feel it's their backyard. So I would expect quite a lot from them. I would actually go for Albon being the one rather than Verstappen. I've just got a sneaky feeling that he'll keep his nose clean, and that's what you need at America. I think Verstappen's going to be driving angry again, and he's not so good that way. I actually feel Lewis will win the race, though. He's a circuit specialist at America, so that would be my prediction. Leclerc will be extremely interesting to watch, I have to say. And again, what a great season he's putting in, really. He's been extremely unlucky, but at the same time, he's shown us that he's a racer of character. And, although you can see he's just playing the team game right now, that's only a matter of time before he breaks out and has another great race. And if he does, it's going to be an exciting one because that seems to be the way he races. Other than that, I hope Norris does well.
Yeah, me too. I mean, the guy deserves to have a strong, solid race, and even Sainz too. I mean, I want to see the guy, up there.
Yeah, he's shown himself to be a good racer this year. He's improved again, and very consistent. So. And again, we should mention Perez. Perez had a fantastic race at Mexico, really, considering how hamstrung he was. They're not really improving that car anymore.
Yeah.
And as such, I think he's doing remarkably well with the package. So all round, it's been quite a healthy year at the end, which is more than I thought it would be. Although obviously Mercedes and Ferrari have just pulled away from the rest, and maybe there's something to do with maybe it's something to do with the initial state of their cars rather than the amount of upgrades they've been able to put on it. Although Ferrari, again, from mid-season onward, they've made incredible steps forward. The slight changes in their front end have given them a lot of extra confidence and seem to be preserving their tyres longer, but still nothing compared to Mercedes. So again, the car of the field for me has been Mercedes this year. And they deserve to have the double, as far as I can see.
Yeah, I mean, Ferrari, I think, would have deserved more, but they didn't. Okay, it probably would have got more, but they didn't deserve it, and because you cannot have 9 pole position and win 3 times. That is simply not acceptable. Especially on tracks where, like Suzuka. I mean, if you start from the pole, you win Suzuka. That's it. They didn't even get. I mean, you can count on one hand, the times that has happened, and probably.
Well, yeah, but this is showing what a different kind of year this has been. The fact that there is such a difference now between qualifying and race pace. When I say race pace, I hate to harp on about this. It's tyre use, right? I mean, it seems to me that this efficient downforce that they've gone for that Ferrari have gone for seems to wear the tyres out too quickly compared to Mercedes. And that's what's given Mercedes the impetus this year, is the fact that they can keep the tyres in longer. So I don't think it's anything to do with the power of the engine or the efficiency of the downforce. I don't think this is what it is. It comes down to tyres. But maybe that's just me bleating on about my favorite subject. I don't know.
No, you are. But as I said, it's a problem of balance. You have a device, you have a machine which has strong points and weak points, and you got to work around them. And if it's not enough, it's not enough. The thing with Ferrari is that on top of that, they made so many mistakes that is getting really frustrating, not to shout at the TV every fucking time, which is why I've stopped watching that, and having a cup of tea, because my blood pressure is always rising and it's not good. Right?
Yeah, I mean, there was those few races where I was on the seat of my, on the edge of my seat watching Ferrari going, oh my God, we're going to, and now it's gone back to, now I can watch the race, and I know Lewis will come through, and so
it's incredible. I mean, the last 2 or 3 races, I've been watching them, thinking, okay, how are they going to fuck this up? Because it's got to be something different, right? There's got to be something new. And on that point, they never disappointed me. If you read to that kind of horror stories, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, well, I think that says everything we can say about this season. So there you go. Okay, look, thank you so much, Fabio. Is there anything you'd like to mention?
No. As I said, next race, US is going to be another. I think they're going to race at 8 p.m. my time. Should be 7 your time. So that's it.
Another evening race for us. So that'll be fun. And I look forward to that, and look forward to seeing you on the Monday after.
Yeah. Cheers,
okay.
Man.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Ciao.